You wake up one morning and, for a brief second, forget who you are. The room feels unfamiliar. The air feels raw. You look around, the bed, the light, your own hands, and something stirs in you, a strange and fleeting awareness that everything is happening effortlessly without your permission. Then, as quickly as it came, the moment collapses. Your name returns. Your memories tighten their grip. The illusion rebuilds itself. I am this person, and I have this life. We say that phrase so easily. My life. We guard it, measure it, improve it, mourn it. But Alan Watts once suggested something far more radical. You don't have a life, you are life. Not a fragment, not a bystander, not a spectator behind the eyes, but the very process of existence itself, happening as you. It sounds poetic, maybe even mystical, but beneath it lies a quiet revolution, one that dismantles the entire architecture of how we think about ourselves. Because the moment you say, I have a life, you've already split reality in two. There is you and there is life, as though the two are separate things. As though you're a tenant renting space in the universe. But what if that division never actually existed? What if the one who claims to have a life is just a thought, a pattern born inside the same life it tries to possess? The ancient mystics called this separation Maya, illusion. Modern psychology calls it the ego. But what's described it in simpler, more piercing language, the skin-encapsulated ego. The idea that you are a little creature inside your body, steering it like a machine through a hostile world of other things. And yet, the truth might be far stranger. The breath you take is not yours. It's the air breathing through you. The sunlight in your veins began in a star. The cells of your body are recycled dust from long-dead galaxies. The heartbeat you hear is not an act of will. It's the pulse of the cosmos, condensed into a rhythm called you. To believe you have life is like a wave claiming ownership of the ocean. It is both absurd and heartbreakingly human. Alan Watts once said that trying to control life, to master it, to have it, is like trying to grab water with your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips away. Because life was never meant to be owned. It is to be lived, or more precisely, it is what you are before the thought of you appears. As the philosopher Soren Kierkegaard wrote, the most common form of despair is not being who you are. And who are you? Not a thing, not a name, not even a story. You are the act of being itself, the verb of existence, unfolding in this form, this moment, this breath. But the ego doesn't want that to be true. The ego thrives on control, on a clear border between self and world. It says, this is mine, that is not. This is me, that is other. It believes that life happens to it, not through it. And from that illusion arises all fear, the fear of loss, of death, of meaninglessness. Because if you have a life, you can also lose it. But if you are life, then what could ever be lost? That is the paradox Alan Watts wanted us to see. That the thing we spend our whole existence trying to possess is already what we are. That the great seeker is the sought. The observer is the observed. The wave is the ocean. But few dare to face this truth. Because to realize it means something terrifying. The death of the illusion of control. And so, most of us live like actors who've forgotten we're in a play, terrified of losing a role that was never ours to begin with. Yet, if we could just pause for a moment, breathe, feel, listen, we might sense it. The silent hum beneath thought, the pulse beneath identity. The vast, shimmering awareness that has always been here, watching itself dance as you. That's where the real journey begins, in the realization that there was never a line between you and life at all. From the moment we can speak, we inherit a lie. Not a malicious one, but a linguistic illusion so deep that it shapes the way we see everything. We learn to say, I am living my life. We say, my body, my mind, my thoughts. Every sentence builds a hidden wall, one that divides the owner from the owned. Language, for all its beauty, cuts the world into pieces. It makes us believe in boundaries that do not exist. The words me and you, life and world, self and other. They're useful, yes, but deceptive. They give us the impression of separation, of control, of possession. But life cannot be possessed, can only be participated in. Alan Watts once compared our use of language to the way we misunderstand music. We think of music as a journey from beginning to end, a linear progression toward a final note. But the point of a song is not to get to the end. It's to play. If life is music, then our obsession with getting somewhere, with having a life, achieving goals, becoming someone, turns a dance into a march. You can see this illusion everywhere, in the structure of society, in the endless demand to define yourself. The world tells you that life is something to build, to manage, to optimize, a product, not a miracle. The modern self becomes a project, curated, perfected, improved. Every choice is branded as identity. Every experience is documented to prove existence. And yet, beneath all of it, there is a quiet anxiety, the sense that something essential is being missed. Because the moment you treat life as property, you become its prisoner. You begin to fear what will happen to your life, whether you're wasting it, whether it's enough, whether you're good enough. The infinite becomes a task. The mysterious becomes measurable. You start living not as life itself, but as its accountant, tallying moments, counting achievements, protecting something you never actually owned. Carl Jung once wrote, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls." And perhaps this is what we are doing, running from the terrifying freedom of being alive by hiding behind the illusion of control. We turn life into a noun so that we can hold it, predict it, tame it. We make gods and governments, build economies and identities, anything to keep us from falling into the raw experience of what is. Because to be life, truly, is to surrender to its uncertainty. But there is a quiet rebellion happening inside every human being, a longing to break free from this linguistic cage. You feel it in those rare, wordless moments. When you watch a sunset and forget your name, when music dissolves your boundaries, when laughter erupts before you can think, when grief tears through you and something larger holds you in its arms. In those moments, the illusion fades. You don't have life. You are the very movement of existence, seeing itself through human eyes. And yet we return inevitably to the trap, because our entire civilization is built on the assumption that you are separate from what is. Our religions tell us we are sinners reaching for salvation. Our economies tell us we are consumers lacking fulfillment. Our philosophies tell us we are minds inside bodies. And our science, though noble, sometimes forgets the poetry of the whole, dissecting life into systems, forgetting that the observer is never truly outside what is observed. But what's warned us? The self is not something trapped inside the skin. It is the entire field of experience. When you see a mountain, that mountain is as much a part of you as your hand is. The visual world is your extended body. You are not looking at the universe. You are the universe looking at itself. And yet, we still cling. We cling because language makes us feel safe. It gives us edges, stories, ownership. To abandon it feels like death. But maybe that's what awakening is, not the death of the body, but the death of the illusion that you ever had one. We are so terrified of dissolving that we never notice we already are. The self we think we're protecting was never real in the first place. That is the paradox at the heart of human existence. The one who tries to have life is the only thing that stands in the way of truly living. There comes a moment, quiet, imperceptible, when the story begins to crumble. It doesn't happen through effort or will. It happens like snow melting in spring, quietly, inevitably, revealing the ground that was always there beneath it. Perhaps it begins with exhaustion. You've spent years trying to figure out your life, to manage it, fix it, own it, and one day, the machinery of control simply breaks. The endless striving, the endless anxiety, the endless voice whispering, "What should I do with my life?" It all collapses into silence. And in that silence, something remarkable happens. You begin to see, not as the observer behind the eyes, but as the total field of awareness in which seeing happens. Alan Watts often said that what we call the self is like the front of a mirror trying to see itself, an impossibility. The mirror can only reflect. The attempt to step outside of life to control or understand it is like a flame trying to burn itself. And yet, this is what the human mind constantly does. It divides itself in two, pretending to be both the experiencer and the experienced. But what if the division was never real? When you observe your thoughts, who is the one observing? When you feel your heartbeat, who is the one feeling? When you breathe, who breathes? The mind tries to answer. It gives you labels, identities, explanations, but all of them are shadows cast by the deeper truth. There is no observer separate from the observed. The mystic Jiddu Krishnamurti expressed it with startling simplicity. The observer is the observed. At first, the phrase sounds nonsensical, like a riddle that dissolves meaning instead of offering it. But sit with it long enough and it begins to open. It begins to expose the great illusion at the root of human suffering. The illusion that there is someone inside your head, directing your life. Because when you look closely, there is only life, thinking, breathing, moving, becoming. The notion of a self is just another ripple on the surface of the ocean. The ocean doesn't have waves. It is the waves. Each crest and trough is the same water, endlessly shifting form. And when you see this, even for a moment, something profound changes. The tension collapses. You stop clutching the wheel of existence. You stop being the anxious driver of your fate. The idea of control begins to feel absurd, like trying to command the wind. This is not fatalism. It's freedom. For the first time, you can finally breathe. You can finally live not as an effort, but as an unfolding. Life no longer happens to you. It happens as you. But this realization is not comfortable. It tears apart everything you thought you were. The boundaries blur. The I begins to dissolve. And with it, the meaning you once clung to feels like dying. And in a sense, it is. The ego, that relentless storyteller, begins to fall silent. And yet, in the silence that follows, there is not emptiness. There is peace. A peace so vast it cannot be possessed, only lived. It is like standing on the edge of the world and realizing the edge was never there, that the horizon was only a trick of perception. You realize that what you truly are has no edges, no center, no beginning, and no end. You are not the flame. You are the fire. You are not in the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself from a single point of view. And the beauty of it is this: life has always known. The trees, the rivers, the stars, they never doubted what they were. Only humans forget. Only humans believe the dream of separation. But now, something within you begins to remember. You begin to sense that your laughter, your grief, your pain, and your joy, all of it, are expressions of the same living force. That there is no you apart from the world, and no world apart from you. The collapse of the observer is not an ending. It is the first true beginning, the return to the immediacy of being, unfiltered, unowned, ungrasped. You are not looking at life. You are life looking. After the illusion collapses, there is often silence. A strange, weightless silence that feels both liberating and terrifying. It is the space after thunder, when the storm has emptied itself and nothing remains to resist. At first, you may try to rebuild the old self, the familiar identity, the sense of me that gave the world its boundaries. But each attempt falls apart like sand through your fingers. The thought, I am this person, dissolves under the simple light of awareness. And yet, in the midst of this unraveling, something new begins to emerge. Not a new identity, but a new way of seeing. You begin to notice how effortlessly life moves through you. The breath you once called mine now feels like the ocean's tide. The thoughts that once defined you now appear like clouds drifting across a vast sky. Even emotion, with all its storms, is seen as movement, waves of energy arising and dissolving within the same endless field. You realize that nothing you ever felt was separate from the totality. Joy, pain, love, loss. They are not personal intrusions upon life. They are life, expressing itself through the infinite spectrum of feeling. This is what mystics meant when they said everything is sacred. Not because the world is perfect, but because it is whole. Wholeness doesn't exclude suffering, it contains it. It doesn't reject the dark, it illuminates it from within. And when you stop resisting the flow of existence, a strange peace arises. Not the peace of stillness, but the peace of surrender. As Alan Watts said, you do not dance to get somewhere. You dance because it is the joy of your being to do so. In this state, you no longer live life as a problem to be solved. You live it as art, spontaneous, unpredictable, alive. The boundaries between inner and outer fade. The world no longer feels like a stage you are acting upon, but a living organism breathing with you. You start to see beauty in the ordinary, in the way light falls across a cracked wall, in the rhythm of footsteps on pavement, in the fleeting silence between two words. These are not background details of your life story. They are life itself, shimmering in plain sight. To be life is to realize that everything belongs. The failures, the triumphs, the heartbreaks, the laughter. All of it forms one continuous movement. There is no wasted moment, no isolated event. Each instant is an unrepeatable expression of the whole. You are not a separate self navigating existence. You are existence unfolding as this moment. When this is seen, compassion begins to bloom, not as an idea, but as a natural consequence of understanding. Because if you are life itself, then everything else is too. The stranger on the street, the leaf trembling in the wind, the distant galaxies. All are expressions of the same essence, dancing in different forms. You realize that every being, every event, every experience is an echo of yourself. How could hatred survive in that recognition? How could greed or fear or superiority? This is not moral enlightenment, it's ontological unity. Love stops being something you do and becomes what you are. And still, life remains exquisitely fragile. The pain of being human doesn't vanish. But even suffering becomes sacred when seen in its full context. It is not an error in the system, it is the shadow that gives form to light. As Carl Rogers once said, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. And in that acceptance, life stops resisting itself. The river does not fight the rocks. It flows around them, polishing them into smoothness. So too does awareness flow around the obstacles of experience, shaping them into understanding. To be life is to trust this flow, to realize that even chaos has its rhythm, even confusion has its beauty. You no longer need to find meaning in life, because life itself is meaning. It is the eternal act of becoming, endlessly expressing, endlessly dissolving, and you are the song it sings. And in that realization, a quiet joy begins to emerge, not the joy of acquisition, but the joy of being. There is a moment when even joy dissolves, when what remains is neither light nor dark, neither being nor non-being, but a stillness beyond all opposites. It is not something you reach. It is what has always been here, watching the endless play of becoming. This is the point, Alan, what's called the eternal now. The realization that life is not a journey between birth and death, but a single, timeless movement expressing itself through what we call time. You begin to understand that the past and future exist only as thoughts within this ever-present awareness. The past is memory. The future is imagination. Life in its pure form is this breathing, this seeing, this awareness that has no edge, no before, no after. It was never your life. It was never something you could own because it was never separate from what is. You don't have awareness, you are awareness. You don't have life, you are life. The fear of death begins to lose its teeth here, because if life is not something you possess, how can it be taken from you? Death is not the opposite of life, it is life changing form. The wave falls back into the ocean, not as tragedy, but as return. The ego weeps for its end. Life simply continues. And you realize, perhaps for the first time, that you have never been alone. The trees outside your window, the stars burning billions of miles away, the faces of strangers passing by, all of them are you, wearing different masks of the same infinite mystery. To see this is to awaken from the dream of separation. It is to recognize that the universe is not happening around you, it is happening as you. The physicist Erwin Schrödinger once wrote, "The total number of minds in the universe is one." And in the quiet knowing of this, the entire weight of existence becomes light. You begin to laugh, not from mockery, but from wonder. How could you ever have believed that you were just a fragment? How could you have feared the end, when there was never an edge to begin with? All along, life was not asking you to hold on. It was asking you to let go. Let go of the idea that you must justify your existence. Let go of the constant measuring, the endless comparison, the desperate search for meaning in things. Let go of my life, my purpose, myself, because the one who lets go is the very life that never needed to. When all concepts fall away, when even the sacred dissolves, what remains is the pure intimacy of being. Not the idea of it, not the philosophy of it, but the felt reality of existing right here, right now, with no walls, no labels, no division. You are the wind moving through the trees. You are the laughter that fills an empty room. You are the silence that rests behind every heartbeat. And perhaps this is what Alan Watts meant all along. To realize that there was never anything to attain, never any path to walk, never any self to save, only the eternal flowering of what already is. Once you might have called it your life. Now you see it for what it truly is, the infinite playing as the finite, the timeless wearing the mask of time. You, as you know yourself, will fade. Every story does. Every wave returns to the sea. But the ocean remains, vast, ungraspable, alive. You have searched for meaning as though it were hidden somewhere outside of you. But meaning was never hidden. You were hidden behind thought, behind identity, behind the illusion of mine. And now the veil lifts. You see not with the eyes of a person, but with the eyes of life itself, vast, luminous, endlessly curious. You see that existence has never been serious. It has been a cosmic laugh, a divine play, a dream of infinite creativity. To awaken is simply to laugh with it, to dance again, not as someone who has a life, but as life itself, endlessly expressing, endlessly dissolving. And then there is nothing more to say, because words end where truth begins. And in that wordless silence, the universe breathes, and you realize that breath was never yours. You never had a life. You were life all along.